Hello everybody and welcome to The United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news, where it's Friday, where we talk about all the latest Manchester United transfer news. I remember the show on Monday. I hope you were there. I said I think we would do a deal this week. Last week I didn't think we did. I thought we'd do a deal this week, and we did. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, that is a deal that we've done. Is there time for us to do anything else? I don't know. I do get to say, a blast from the past, I get to say my favourite name in world football as well. Umtiti. We'll get a few Umtitis in a minute, but first of all, let's start off with Bruno Fernandes. The bookies have changed their mind. What a surprise. We are now the favourites to sign Bruno Fernandes. I know it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it makes me feel a little bit more confident. I mean, Spurs are 20-1 to sign Bruno Fernandes, and apparently it's between us and Bruno Fernandes. Let's start off with him, because there is updates every single day from Portugal that filter out into even the Italian press. But yeah, United apparently are winning this race. We're willing to go higher than Spurs will. I think surely we're going to get this deal done. And I tell you what, I'm nervous about it. And I think this is the deal that, to me, is the one that's been the story of the summer. It's the one I wanted when I was told about it in March. It's the one that I just want this signing. And I'm not going to guarantee it's going to be a success, but I do think it's a fundamental signing, and I think it would give us I think it's the first top-class signing we can make, the first most exciting signing we can make. And it feels like a United Stand signing. I wish it was signing for United Stand FC, but it does feel like it's something that we as the channel collectively have been talking about ever since the transfer window opened. Nobody else has really talked about him in the depth like we have. The press in England hasn't really picked up on it. It's always been us. And I just feel very personally involved in it. And that's why if he did go to Liverpool or Spurs, I'd be absolutely gutted. So look, the facts are that it's coming out more and more from Portugal that this is United's deal to do. We are the favourites. Record have said that. Ojogo, Ebola. They're all coming out saying that this is a United deal that needs to be done. The encouraging thing is that he might be done for a little bit less than 60 million, which I think, you know what, if you get him for less than £60 million, fair play. But the reality is, much like Wan-Bissaka, I think £50 million was right, and I think 60 million for Bruno Fernandes is right. I'd even go up to 65. But so if we get him less for that, it's a very, very good deal for Manchester United. When is it going to be done? He's not back in training for Sporting Lisbon until July the 4th, which I think is next Thursday. So it gives us a little bit more time. I think a lot of emphasis was placed on the fact that Solskjaer had sort of said he wanted his signings by July the 1st. He's going to look a bit silly with that. I don't know when his first press conference is, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Maybe he'd be asked about that. But the reality is, as United fans, we shouldn't really be adamantly angry that we haven't got all our business done by July the 1st. I think there is a reason for that. And I also think next week's a big week. As long as we get a couple more in before we go on tour, I think that becomes very interesting for United. So, and we can always do business when we're on tour, but also maybe there's some players that would never be going on tour with us anyway because they're playing in the AFCON. Koulibaly. Let's hope so anyway. So let's see what happens with that. But on that, I read something in the week, and you read so many things, you don't know what you get. Your mind gets fried with what might be true and what might be bullshit. But the reality is, I read this article in the week, and it was about July the 1st and how if you buy after July the 1st, it goes into the next year's financials. If you buy before, it goes into this year's financials, and it can all be about that. And if you look at Man City, like Man City want Harry Maguire, they want Cancelo. They're not signing anybody yet. They're clearly waiting until July the 1st. So. And it looks like most clubs are doing that. So maybe that's what United are doing as well. So Fernandes looking very good. Very excited about that. How much do you want him? Is he important to you as he is to me? How much do you want him? But let's talk about Tielemans very quickly. Should we talk about Tielemans? Yeah, let's talk about Tielemans. So Tielemans, there was an article last night from Get French Football News that Manchester United, he is on their list, but he's not a priority signing. This sort of set a lot of people off, a little bit upset about it. But you know what? I'd like us to sign Tielemans. I don't think he's signed for Leicester because he's waiting to see if there's a possibility he'll come to United. But I also don't go into meltdown about it. I think if United sign him, great. I think he's a good player. But I don't think he is a priority for Manchester United. And you can only have so many priorities. And the point there is that I think United were probably only going to sign two midfielders. And I think those two midfielders could well be Bruno Fernandes and Sean Longstaff, as I said last night. So why would you buy Tielemans as well? I mean, I'd like us to sign three midfielders. I'd like us to sign Bruno Fernandes, Tielemans and Thomas Partey and not buy Longstaff because they're three quality players. One of them's 22, the other two are in their mid-20s. I'd be well happy with that. But I think if Pogba stays, United will only sign two midfielders. That's probably going to be Bruno Fernandes and Sean Longstaff. So I think Tielemans is on the back burner until United know what's happening with Pogba. You can't knock you can be unhappy about that, but I've always felt that is United's plan. So let's see how that goes with that. Some people are not happy about that, but I just think that United's priorities are not Tielemans unless Pogba goes. Umtiti, where have you been? Well, Umtiti has been linked to Manchester United. I'm going to keep saying the name loads. Umtiti has been linked to Manchester United yesterday. I think it was Spanish reports saying that he's back on United's radar. I mean, it's interesting because Lindelof was linked to us, and I think what you're getting here is Lindelof to Barcelona, Umtiti to Manchester United. United need a centre-back. No one knows who the centre-back we're after. Let's write a story about Umtiti and Manchester United. He's a good defender, but to be honest with you, I think we need better than Umtiti anyway. I think people maybe aren't realising the sort of quality defender we need. I personally believe United need a top 5 in the world centre-back, and if they can't get that, a top 10 in the world centre-back. So that is why Umtiti would not be the player that I would look for. But also, I just don't really think there's anything in it. We're not going to give him Lindelof. We don't want Umtiti. And also, didn't he use us a year ago to get a new contract? So forget about it. I don't want Umtiti. So let's move on. Let's say Umtiti for the last time, hopefully, this transfer window in relation to Manchester United. Umtiti. Anyway, Van de Beek. Van de Beek I mentioned because this is a midfielder that many of us quite like. When we're looking at midfield options, and if Ndombele goes to Spurs. Interestingly, on Ndombele, something else I heard on Get French Football News last night was that Ndombele, the Lyon president, has come out and said we've had a €45 million bid for Ndombele. From Spurs, but nothing is finalised yet. And remember, during the start of the week, everything seemed to be finalised. And what he's saying is that Ndombele is worth more than that. I still think he's going to end up at Spurs, but it's interesting that maybe the deal's not been done yet. And then you get United fans again saying, well, why don't we just swoop in with a £70 million bid because that's what he's worth. I think with Ndombele, you don't need to read between the lines to realise that Manchester United probably have inquired about him and been told he wants Champions League football. And unfortunately, that was always the risk this summer, and we can keep beating ourselves up about it, but the reality is we're not in the Champions League, we're in the Europa League, and we're trying to get back in there, we're trying to build, but there will be players who go, I don't fancy your project. I don't fancy taking a year out of the Champions League to work on your project. Come back to me when you're in it. Some players, and that's why they're not the right player for us. Because, to be honest with you, you want a player that thinks so much about the club that they're like, yeah, I want to be part of that project. And if they are already going, well, no, I don't want to be part of the project, I want Champions League football, I'm sorry, mate, up yours, off you go. You're not right for Manchester United. It's a tough lesson, but it's true. So, Ndombele, not definitely done to Spurs yet, but I think he will be. Going back to Van de Beek, I mean, we're just talking about other options in the midfield, and I think he's very similar to Ander Herrera with a bit more creativity in him. I mean, and I say similar in the way that I think he'd be a fan favourite. I think he gets stuck in, very dedicated professional. I think he'd be a very, very good signing for United. He isn't linked to United. I bring him in because one of the reasons he might not be linked to United is because of his fee. There's talk that Real Madrid are looking at Van de Beek as a replacement if they can't get Pogba. £53 million was the price. I mean, that's a lot for an Ajax midfielder when you think that Ziyech, the right winger, is apparently available for 25 and De Ligt's probably going to go to Juventus for about 60, but they're looking for over 50 million for Van de Beek. It's quite interesting. So, that's the update on him. What else? We spoke about Tielemans. Now, interestingly, Tielemans was from Mohamed Bafassi, who is a very good journalist in relation to French news. He was the one who mentioned Tielemans and said that Solskjaer has other priorities at the moment, but Tielemans remains on the list. But there are other priorities, and I understand that, and it's a good source saying that. He also, funnily enough, mentioned that United really like Thomas Meunier, which seems a bit like talking about something after the horse has bolted, like it's too late, we've got Wan-Bissaka. And yeah, I agree, it is too late. Manchester United have got Wan-Bissaka. Why would you go and get Thomas Meunier? You've got Delo and Young who can play there. Apparently Young can play there, but he is still at the club. And a lot of people are like, well, what does Meunier want to come and wash with some Wan-Bissaka's boots? And yeah, all funny, keep the jokes coming, that's great, that's what it's all about, a bit of banter. But what I read into that was that, remember what I said back in March, I was told that United, 3 players they were really going for was Bruno Fernandes, Thomas Meunier and Jadon Sancho. Well, we know with Jadon Sancho that we're not going to sign him, but we know that we had a very good chance of signing him around March, April if we got in the Champions League. Bruno Fernandes, obviously, we're hopefully very close to signing him, but we're certainly in for him. So that information I got, 2 out of 3, very good tips. The Meunier one always worried me a little bit because I was like, well, Meunier is very easy to get. And we've got Wan-Bissaka. But that news from a credible source yesterday made me think, you know what? Meunier probably was a target for Manchester United back in March because Meunier had 1 year left on his contract. He's a United fan. He was flirting around a bit. But then the way the summer's developed, Meunier himself, when he was playing for Belgium in the Nations League, was saying, I like Paris, I want to stay there, sort of thing. So he was sort of closing a door. And around that time, start of June, was when the Wan-Bissaka stuff started. So I think what probably happened is, going into the summer, United quite fancied Meunier to come in and be the senior sort of right back with Dalot under his wing. And I think what happened is, somewhere along the lines, Wan-Bissaka's availability became obvious to United, and of course you're going to go for Wan-Bissaka over Meunier. But it's interesting that a credible source from France is saying Meunier and United, and I think that's how I interpreted it. That yeah, maybe at the start of the summer Meunier was a priority for United, but those priorities can change when another. Because remember, at the start of May, Wan-Bissaka came out and said he'd be at Crystal Palace next year. So that shows you right there that at the start of May, I don't think Wan-Bissaka was even a possibility for United. Things can change very, very quickly. And I think that's probably happening with Koulibaly now. I think in May, United inquired about Koulibaly and Napoli went, haha, you've got no chance. Now you're getting Koulibaly dropping hints and maybe that door's open again. Hopefully it is. Talking about centre-backs, Maguire, we've pulled out. Good, safe sex that is, pulling out. But good, I hope we have pulled out the deal if that's true. I think that there are opportunities for United to go and get a Koulibaly if they're aggressive. Maybe even a Ruben Diaz if they want to go down that route. Maguire, the reason we've apparently pulled out is because the money that Leicester want is meant to be around between 80 and 90 million pounds. Once you go above 70 million pounds for Harry Maguire, and especially once you hit 80 million, it's only 10, 15 million more to get Koulibaly. I think Napoli will take 90 million for Koulibaly. So we'd be right to move out of that. What I don't believe about that story is that if he goes for Man City, I don't think Man City are going to spend 80 or 90 million on Harry Maguire either. I think Harry Maguire will go to City for about 65. So look, whether we're pulling out to save face because he's going to Man City, I don't know. But there's a lot of United fans who don't want Harry Maguire. I wouldn't be opposed to signing Harry Maguire. He's certainly better than everything that we've got. I just would like something a little bit better. But sometimes you go for the high-hanging fruit and you end up with nothing. So maybe, but I think Maguire maybe wants to go to Manchester City anyway, if I'm honest with you. Dembele, Meunier, Umtiti, Tielemans. Okay, I think we've more or less covered everything. So it's an interesting week for Manchester United. Wan-Bissaka deal is a positive. I still think that we're still a little bit slow. And next week it becomes almost critical, really. How many players are we going to go on tour with that are new players? Daniel James, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. How many more do you think? Get in the comments below. Personally, I think we will definitely take another 1. But I don't know whether signing 4 and 5 will be on the plane to Australia. I don't know. But I think we will get another 1. I'd love to get another 2. But remember the transfer window, we don't judge it till August the 8th. And it might be steady, but it's steady for everybody else as well at the moment. So let's see what happens with next week. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference is going to be very interesting. I'm really looking forward to hearing and seeing what he's got to say about that. But please do smash a like on the video, everybody. And get your comments in below. How confident are you about Fernandes? What does that signing mean to you? I'd like to see some comments about that. Obviously, to me, it's massive. I almost feel like it is the United stand transfer for the summer because we're so engrossed in it. Van der Beek, would you pay 50 million quid for him? Tielemans, are you unhappy about that news that we are not moving for him at the moment? There are other priorities. Umtiti, would you take him as a centre-back option? Who would you take, Umtiti or Harry Maguire, actually? Because for me, it would be Maguire over Umtiti. How many times have I said Umtiti in this video? I'll tell you what, if anyone knows that, get it in the comments and I'll pin it. I've started pinning the best comments now. So thanks everyone. Smash a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you live at 8 o'clock tonight. Unless something happens today, there could be an official announcement today. Let's hope so. Thanks for watching.